So, Joe Rogan. Again, I'm the hater. I know people are going to say, well, Feldman's really hating on Joe Rogan. I'm the one who takes exception to the use of the N-word 32 times that we know of, but I'm the hater for pointing that out. He has a very long show, and he says a lot of things. And people who defend him, I get emails, they say, you're criticizing Joe Rogan because you've never listened to him. Well, I have listened enough to know that he says a lot of things. And most of what he says about the vaccines, most of what he says is the vaccines are not safe. He refused at first to say whether or not he was vaccinated, and then he finally admitted that he wasn't. He spreads the gospel of ivermectin, and he amplifies the voices of crackpots like Jordan Peterson or Candace Owens, as well as doctors, medical doctors, who claim the vaccine is dangerous. He might say he tries to present both sides, but it is tilted towards anti-vax, anti-mask, and it gets people killed. What I find truly abhorrent about Joe Rogan is he gets called out and apologizes, but then goes back to his old ways. About 6-7 months ago, he told people under the age of 30 not to get vaccinated. He said, I apologize. I'm just a comedian. And then he knows, he's really smart. He knows that people will forget, and he just keeps spreading the ivermectin gospel. He said on January 12th, 2022, this is what Jon Stewart pointed out, as though this is an example of Joe being an honest interlocutor. Jon Stewart, another one. On January 12th, 2022, Rogan claimed that the risk of myocarditis among vaccinated 12 to 17-year-olds was higher than the risk associated with catching COVID, right? His guest corrected him. They looked it up, so he backed down. But if there's no guest to correct him, he keeps spreading misinformation. He has guests who insist ivermectin can drive COVID, quote, into extinction. That's really dangerous, and there's nobody correcting it. Rogan has called the vaccines, quote, unproven gene therapy. On December 24th, 2021, this is less than 2 months ago, right? December 24th, 2021. After all the criticism he has received, he said, quote, I'm not going to get vaccinated. I have antibodies. It doesn't make any sense. And when he gets called on it, he insists he's just trying to present all sides, or I'll do better. And then he just always goes back to saying what he always says, telling people not to get vaccinated, telling people the vaccines are dangerous. Just the mere sowing of seeds of doubt about mRNA vaccines is dangerous. And bringing on one anti-vaxxer after another, that's not presenting both sides. That is amplifying dangerous ideas to close to 12 million listeners. And yes, I'm not saying to cancel him. I'm not. If you want to listen to him, go ahead. Why does Joe Rogan do it? Well, there's an audience for it. Also, he's a founder, I think, I may be wrong, of Onnit, ONNIT, which sells immunity boosters and brain supplements. I've looked into this. I'm pretty sure that Joe Rogan makes money selling immunity boosters and brain supplements, like Alex Jones. He seems to be pushing alternatives to big pharma. He is pushing something called total human optimization through exercise, eating well, and please buy my nutritional supplements. Now, I don't know how much he makes pushing this stuff. And I'm sure he means it when he says, don't trust the CDC, don't trust Big Pharma. But he also profits off people not getting vaccinated and instead buying his immunity boosters. Look, I don't trust Big Pharma. I don't trust the CDC, but I really don't trust someone who is best friends with Alex Jones. I also don't trust anyone who has built his entire career around mixed martial arts and enjoys watching people getting kicked until they're bloody in the face and enjoying that. I don't know when that became acceptable. Have you seen mixed martial arts? When did we decide that was okay to go mainstream? I don't trust Big Pharma. I don't trust doctors, but I really don't trust autodidacts like Joe Rogan, who has not been trained by institutions of higher learning to differentiate between doctors and hucksters. If I have to choose, I'm going to go with the doctor and not Joe Rogan or Alex Jones or some comedian he has on his show. Again, I don't want to be an elitist. I have huge problems with higher education. I have a huge problem with the AMA and the CDC and Big Pharma. But when I get sick, I'm going to my doctor, not the guy lifting weights next to me in the gym. I have a doctor. Is he perfect? No. But he's smarter than Joe Rogan. Now, the only people who complain about Joe Rogan, I'm told, are the ones who don't listen to him. I get constant emails. Why are you going after Joe Rogan? You're jealous, you're a hater, and you obviously don't listen to him. Well, you listen to him. To the people who listen to him, you listen to him. That means you heard all those episodes where he dropped the N-word. You heard those episodes where he did the Planet of the Apes joke. And you still listen to him? I'm sorry. I don't listen to him. But if you heard that and you're okay with that, okay. Now, should he be permitted to say those things? Absolutely. And everybody says things. Everybody says things. Not everybody says them when the microphone is hot, but even things slip out. People should be allowed to say things and make mistakes. I don't know if saying the N-word 32 times is a teachable moment for America. I think we've all learned by now that you don't say it. I'm not saying he should. It's not up to me to decide what happens to Joe Rogan. And sure, he should be allowed to reach 12 million people. We're going to come up by summer, 1 million Americans will have died from COVID. How do we get people to get vaccinated? Joe Rogan isn't helping any. Are any of those deaths on Joe Rogan's hands? If somebody listening to Joe Rogan decides not to get vaccinated, and we know that if you're in the ICU right now from COVID, it's because you're not vaccinated primarily. Is that Joe Rogan's fault? Partly. I don't know how to correct bad speech. Jon Stewart, who is wrong about everything. Jon Stewart is like Ben Affleck. It's like the mind of an 8th grader. And on the surface, all the solutions sound perfectly reasonable, but they're like a millimeter deep in thought. he says we should engage. He says the solution is to engage with Joe Rogan because nobody has a more open mind than Jon Stewart. Nobody accepts criticism better than the union-busting Jon Stewart. You can always argue with Jon Stewart because it's all about engaging. It's about hearing the other side. As the head of the Writers Guild told me, nobody talked to him with as much vitriol as Jon Stewart did when he was fighting the writers from going union. But Jon says the solution to bad speech is we engage. How do you engage with Joe Rogan? Well, you speak to his manager. I want to speak to his manager. One of the ways to engage is to tell Spotify that I'm going to stream my music someplace else. But Jon Stewart, no, you can't do that. Don't, that's canceling him. Don't do that. How else do we engage with Joe Rogan, Jon Stewart? Some of us don't have a television show on Apple. How do you prevent Joe Rogan from amplifying the voices of anti-vaxxers? I'm not saying Spotify should remove him. Not at all. But Spotify is all in on Joe Rogan. He's got a $100 million exclusivity deal with Spotify. No other podcaster has that. He is the face of Spotify when it comes to their podcast business. Joe Rogan is the face of Spotify. You can only hear him on Spotify. That's why they pay him $100 million. We are in the age of branding, where corporations tell us their story, what their values are. Well, Spotify's story is we're all in on Joe Rogan, $100 million to be his sole platform. So Jon Stewart says, engage with Joe Rogan. I don't engage with anti-vaxxers. I don't support them. And I don't support people who give anti-vaxxers a platform. You can't win a debate with an ignorant lunatic. So I don't support Spotify. I'm not giving them my money. I switched. I think my podcast might still be on Spotify, but I don't make money or pay them money. I should probably pull my podcast from Spotify, but it doesn't matter. My podcast is a gnat. I can't engage with Joe Rogan, who has 12 million followers, other than not giving Spotify my money. That's how you engage. That's not cancel culture. That's not censorship. Money is speech. How you spend it is speech, and how you don't spend it is also speech. To those of you who think the people who are criticizing Joe Rogan, who don't want to pay a company to promote, to amplify the voices of anti-vaxxers, to suggest that that's cancel culture or freedom of speech, you should stop listening to Joe Rogan, maybe listen to some more intelligent people who can explain to you what freedom of speech means.